In this second part of the seminar, we're going to be looking at Spec Builder Live and putting together your initial draft specification, and then we'll go into Microsoft Word and looking at some of the more sophisticated features that you might not use on a daily basis. NATSPEC is supplied to you in two forms. There's the CD, which contains Spec Builder Pro, and there's Spec Builder Live, which is an online version of it. The CD version will at some point reasonably soon be withdrawn, because that basically only works with Word 2003, Windows Word 2003. It never worked for the Macintosh, whereas the online version works for all versions and all operating systems. If you're a NATSPEC subscriber, you will have access to the online version. Whatever email you gave us on your order form, or what we have on our database as your main email address, will be registered. To get to the Spec Builder Live site, if you go to the NATSPEC homepage, which is natspec.com.au, and just on that main page there's a Go to Spec Builder Live link. If you click on that, it will take you to the Spec Builder Live site. If you know the main email address, you can type that in. I'm going to be Philip today. natspec.com.au. If you don't have a password, and you can click on I forgot my password, and that will email one for you. Now just remember, the I forgot my password is an automated thing, so if you haven't got it in your inbox, have a look in your junk email as well. You need to click on I agree to abide by the conditions and click on enter. I'm going to say yes, remember that. Okay, when you log in, it will bring you to the Spec Builder Live homepage. At the very top, it'll tell you what update is uploaded at that point. So the latest update is the April 2011 one. It will tell you what you subscribe to. In this case, we subscribe to 3 different packages. It might say basic or domestic, depending on what you subscribe to. You can see here that it's fairly straightforward. There's only 6 links on the page. I'm going to start from the bottom and go up. The Download Spec Builder Live user guide is pretty straightforward. It's basically a PDF document, and a lot of basically everything that we're going to go through today is in that document, step by step, picture by picture. So I would download that and have a look at that. If you subscribe to Professional or Domestic, there'll be a Download Domestic link. The reason why there's a Download Domestic link is that Domestic is a single document, so you just need to download the Word file. You don't need to use the Live system or the Spec Builder system to choose individual trades and put them together. So you can download your domestic file. There's also resource materials. If I click on that link, okay, you'll see a number of different folders depending on what you subscribe to. A few years ago, October 2007, NATSPEC took over a specification system called NATSPEC, which is basically a local council system. It covers maintenance specifications, so if councils have to maintain a lot of buildings and parks and that sort of thing, so they can write specs on that. It's also got a fuller civil side than NATSPEC does. Under the reference specifications, if you're a services subscriber, mechanical, electrical, hydraulic subscriber, a lot of governments still write what we call 2-part specifications, where the reference component is static and you just issue a schedules document which is project specific. So under the reference specifications, if you do subscribe to those documents, you'll see a reference document for that. Work sections will apply to everybody, and under the work sections folder you'll see various folders. So depending on what you subscribe to, you'll have a little arrow next to the folder which will give you access. Under this work sections folder, say you subscribe to Building Professional, if I open that up, those PDFs that I referred to in the first section that contain all the guidance material and all the yellow highlighting with the update in it, these are those PDFs. So you can download those PDFs and put them on your server so that they're available for you to search. Also in this Building Professional folder or in your package folder, there's a zip file. If using the Spec Builder Live system, every file that you download, you're just downloading that individual file. If you want to download your entire package and you don't want to go through and install the CD that we've sent you, this zip file can be downloaded, and it contains the entire package. All the Word documents and all the PDF documents and everything that we supply you is in that zip file. So it might be a good idea to download that zip document and pop that up on your server so that everyone's got access to it. So that's your work sections folder. Under the general folder in the resource materials is basically all the other supporting documents that we supply. I referred to the style guide and defined terms. They're in this folder here. There's the work section matrix. So if you're interested in seeing the full classification system, have a look at the matrix. There's also a tech report specifying ESD, which if you're interested in ESD specifying, I'd really recommend having a look at that. What we've done is broken down the NATSPEC specifications so you can see the areas where you might be able to specify ESD. Also, based on this seminar here, there's a writing paper, so a lot of those tips and tricks and how you might go about starting to write a specification. It's a really, really good paper, and a lot of those word processing tips that we'll go through today are in the word processing and production paper. Those PDF that I referred to with all the highlighting in it, if you do want to go through those, that's fine, but you may not want to have to scroll through 10 different files and find every yellow highlighted section. So in this general folder there's a NATSPEC update summary. So if you are updating your own individual Office masters or you're in the middle of a spec at the moment, have a look at the update summary. It's like a roadmap to the larger PDF document. So if I just open that document, this update summary, the first page and a half just tells you the changes that we've made in that last update, global changes, any new work sections we've added, any work sections we've removed or reissued or significantly revised. And then towards the bottom here we've got a table. It's a table, it covers all of NATSPEC, so there'll be work sections in there that don't apply to you, but you can say, look, hey, I'm in the middle of a spec at the moment and I am using timber products, finishes and treatment. Oh, okay, there's four or five changes in there, so I've got to either update the work section that I'm working on at the moment or replace it with the new one. That's your call, looking at the work section. This one, for example, is significantly revised, so it may be easier to start over with the new work section rather than trying to update the file that you're currently working on. Okay, so if we go back to that general folder, the next folder here is called Tech Notes and Commentary. NATSPEC, when we're doing our update service, which is twice a year, we do an update in April and we do an update in October. The April update covers the Building Code of Australia changes which come into effect on the 1st of May, and the October update picks up a lot of the standards changes that have happened throughout the year. When we do those updates, we actually do quite a lot of research when we're doing the updates, but a lot of that research doesn't necessarily equate to specification text itself. It doesn't actually make it into the spec because we've had to research standards or whatever. But a lot of that research is actually quite informative for you, the specifiers. So what we do is we write tech notes, used to be single pages, 1 or 2 page documents based on various topics. You can see here, there's slip resistance or rainwater harvesting. So a lot of the research that we've done is put into these tech notes. We will refer to these tech notes within the NATSPEC work section itself, within the guidance text. So it's just somewhere else to get some further information on that item that you might be specifying. So they're all there for you to download. There's a commentary as well. There's only about 4 or 5 work sections with commentary material. Commentary material is it's not guidance material, but the editor felt that there was you might need further information in order to write that specification. And there's a folder called Word Templates, which contains the Microsoft Word template file, the .dot file, and I'll go into that a bit further on when we look at Microsoft Word. So that's the resource material downloads section on the on Spec Builder Live. So everything, all of your entire subscription material is all here for you to download. With the licensing conditions on Spec Builder Live, your office has a subscription to it. You can have as many users within that office have their own logins as you require. Okay, so we've gone through the resource material. Let's create our initial draft project. So if you go into Create Project, you can see it's fairly straightforward. You want to put in the project title, okay, and you can see the full classification system here. The folder will be empty if you don't have access to it. You'll just have what you've got available to you. So you just basically start choosing work sections which are going to be part of your job. So I'm going to choose a specification cover sheet. The icon with the N in it indicates it's a NATSPEC work section. The icon with the A, the red A, means it's an AusSpec work section if you had access to both. The icon to the right of the work section title is a Microsoft Word icon. So if you wanted to download that file at that point just to scan it, because say for example we've got 8 different roofing work sections, you might want to download one just to peek at it and see which one you want to choose. So you can use the Word icon to download that file here. And as you select work sections, they appear on the right hand side here, so you can see a snapshot of the selections that you've made. So I'm just going to choose some work sections. As you go through too, you'll see here this office edited work section. You can, what we call an office edited work section is what you might call your office master. So you might pre-edit some work sections. Say your company specialises in hospital work or work for schools. And you always do the same edits to specific work sections based on that kind of work. So what you can do is pre-edit a work section, or you might have your own work section, say on lifts, because NATSPEC doesn't have a lifts work section, and you want to add those pre-edited work sections to the Spec Builder Live system so that they're available for all your users to add to the specification. So you can upload, and I will show you how to do that. And we'll go through and keep selecting some work sections. We want to have a general requirements, absolutely. Wherever you see a lowercase b next to the classification numbering system, that indicates that it's a basic version of that work section. So both these general requirements are technically the same, but the B version of it, what we've done is we've removed some clauses from it that you might not use in a less complex job. So yeah, some of the work's already been done for you. If you're a basic subscriber, for example, you will only have the B version of certain files. Okay, so we're going through and picking work sections. If you see any work sections with a capitalised manufacturer name, that's one of the branded work sections. So you might choose to use that over the generic one. Okay, sorry, take no notice of the selections I'm making because I'm just clicking. And you can see here, if you don't want to actually have that work section, just unclick it and it will remove it from your choices. Okay, let's just, oh no, pick another one. Okay, once you're happy with your selections here, just make sure you've got your project title. For the moment, I'm getting my developers to have a look at this at this point in time, but if you could avoid using apostrophes in your project title, you'll avoid having problems downloading. And try not to use things that you wouldn't necessarily use in a file name, like a slash symbol or that sort of thing. Okay, once you're happy with your selected work sections here, at the bottom of the page there's a Save button, and just click on that. And at this point, what the system's doing is nothing real as such. It's saving your selections. It's just saving everything. It's saving the idea of all the work sections that you've ticked. And so there's a page here called 217 Clarence Street, and everything that I selected is here in the contents listing. But nothing has actually happened. It hasn't created the files or hasn't downloaded anything. It's just saved the idea of my project. So what I would do now, if I'm happy with those selections, and I'll come back a little later and add some more work sections so you can see, because at the beginning of the process you might not necessarily know all the trades you're going to use in the job. So for the moment I'm just going to download this job. So if I click on the left hand side, download project, okay, what the system is doing right now is it's collecting each of those individual work sections in Word format and putting them all into a zip file ready for me to download. Something for you to consider too is that it's using your browser's download function. So whatever browser you're using, might be Internet Explorer or Firefox, it's using your browser's download. In my particular example here, it automatically downloads anything that I download from the internet into a downloads folder. So I'm not choosing where to save my zip file, it's just automatically putting it into my downloads folder. Okay, so depending on what you use on your computer is how it will download. So I now have my zip file. What you do need to do in newer computer systems, they allow you to open up the zip file like it's just a standard folder, but you do, in this particular example, need to unzip it. So I'm just going to double click on that to unzip it. It's showing me that I'm in the zip file and I can view those files, not a problem, but I actually want to extract or unzip those files. So I'm going to extract all files and put it on my desktop and into a folder called Clarence. There you go. Yes, so the newer operating systems allow you to open up a zip and even open those files and work on those files, but in order for this system to work, you need to actually unzip that file and work in an unzipped folder. And this folder you can put anywhere you want. You can sit on your desktop, on your server, anywhere that you want to save your project files. So basically now, what we want to do is go through these files and start editing. So if I just open up a work section, I'll just go through the breakdown of the NATSPEC work section for you. We use styles. Is everyone aware of styles and what they do? Yes? No? Okay. NATSPEC is styles. So a style is a collection of formats. So in this particular example here, this is a heading 1. If I just open up the style listing, you'll see I'm clicked in it, it says it's heading 1. Heading 1 in NATSPEC is Arial, all caps, bolded with a border around it and 25 points below it. Okay, so the moment I apply heading 1 to any line, it will automatically apply those formats to it. Okay, so does that make sense with the styles? The NATSPEC.dot file that is attached to every single NATSPEC file contains all that style information in it. So heading 2, same thing, Arial, all caps with a line underneath. And so all that information is saved in the NATSPEC.dot file, which is what's called a Microsoft Word template. If you don't, for example, if you don't want to use the NATSPEC formatting, you want to put your documents together using your own corporate style, bigger margins maybe, or different font, you can create your own template, attach it to the documents, and it will automatically reformat the document based on your template. So if I just showing you the styles here, there's heading 4, so I've clicked on that line, it's styled heading 4. So I'm going to modify that just to show you how quickly you can reformat. So heading 4, if I click on new documents based on this template, what that will do is that the edit or the format that I make now, it will hardwire that change into my template file. So every other document that I attach to this template file will format based on the format change I'm making now. So I'm going to change the font of heading 4 just to something that you can see. So I press OK. And you can see the moment that I've done that through styles, every single heading 4 in this document has reformatted to that different font. Okay, and you can see how using styles you can very quickly reformat a very large document without having to look at every single individual paragraph. You can see in this one here, if I click on developer, on the developer tab here in 2007 and the document template, 2007 and 2010 very similar, so you'll find the same things in the same reasonably basically same locations. Document template there, you can see here that this document is attached to the NATSPEC.dot file. So if you did want to create your own template, say RAIA dot with different fonts and that sort of thing, then all you would do is you make those changes and attach, find that dot file. Actually, I might have one. No, I don't. Find the dot file and attach attach it to your Word document, and it will automatically make those changes to your file. But there's quite a lot of information in information regarding styles, but that's one of the more sophisticated features that NATSPEC's used within the Word file. Basically, the reason why we've done that is one, to help you very quickly do some major formatting across a large number of documents, and two, a lot of the features that Word uses, like table of contents and that sort of thing, are all based on the styles. So in order to generate a table of contents, it needs to find the heading 1s and the heading 2s and the heading 3s in the document. Okay, so that's the styles in NATSPEC, and we tried to keep the number of the styles to a minimum. So we've used headings 1 through to 4 and a few extra styles: normal, indent. So you can add your own styles too if you're interested in adding, say, your own text, your own sort of office edited text to the document. Okay, one of the main things in a NATSPEC document is the guidance text, and at the moment you can't see any of that green guidance text because I've got it hidden. If your document is attached to the NATSPEC .dot file, you'll have an add-ins menu item up here, and on the add-ins ribbon there's the NATSPEC toolbar. The very first button here is show or hide hidden text. This toolbar will be edited in the next little while, because most of that toolbar works with the CD version. So using that button there, you can show or hide the hidden text. The hidden text, or the guidance text, as I said earlier, is for you only for the specifier, and it shows you, it guides you based on what it is that you're specifying. Okay. If you just can't be bothered, or you can't find the toolbar and it's all just too hard, but you do want to show or hide the hidden text, under the Office button here, if you click on that, there's a Word Options button. Okay, if you go to Word Options, under Display, on the left-hand side there, you'll see Hidden Text. So you can turn the hidden text on and off here as well. Whilst we're here on this page, the printing options is on this page as well. If you have print hidden text ticked, regardless if the hidden text is showing or not showing on your screen, it will print the hidden text, and vice versa. If that's not ticked, even though you've got it showing on screen, it won't print the hidden text. So just remember that printing options. Okay, so you can show or hide the hidden text there, or using that toolbar there. Sometimes, if you're lucky, this will, no. If I go back to Word Options and turn hidden text off like that, okay. If hidden text is off in Word Options, you can then use the paragraph button here to show or hide it as well. But that will only work if hidden text is off in Word Options. Okay, so I'm going to turn that on. So every NATSPEC work section, the very first line of every work section has a heading 1, okay, and that's basically the work section title. If you scroll down, there's also heading 2s in every document. The heading 2 is what we refer to as the subsection. So there are 4 main subsections in NATSPEC: general, products, execution, and selections. They're always in that order. Not every work section will have every subsection, but if they do, it'll be in that order. Selections is where the majority of the project-specific information is located. Okay, so instead of having to flick through the entire work section, most of the project-specific schedules and prompts are all located in selections. Within each subsection, there's also a clause, or a number of clauses, and they're heading 3s. You see the guidance text here. As of the last update, we instated, we put in a new style called optional. Okay, and that's what this grey shaded material is, and that's optional text. It's like the editor has thought, okay, well, you might want to add this to your specification, but I'm not actually going to put it in. But you can reinstate that as normal text if you want to use that optional text. Okay, and as we go through, there's bulleted lists. This brown material here, this brown text here, is what we call prompt material. Basically, you just click on the field there and start typing, and you put in project-specific information there. We've made it brown because it kind of jumps out at you on screen, but when you print it to a black and white printer, it prints pretty close to black, so you don't need to change it. Okay, and as we go through, I'm just breaking down a NATSPEC work section for you. You'll see there's quite a few prompts through this general requirements work section and quite a bit of optional text. And at the bottom there, here, we'll go up to here. Wherever we call a table, there's two types of tables. There's a table or schedule. They'll either be called table or schedule. A table is informative. There's information in there. You can see this one's called a table, and it's got information in there. If we call it a schedule, that schedule is like a prompt. You need to put in project-specific information into that table. Okay. And at the end of every work section, sorry, I'll just go down to the end. So these are schedules. I've just gone back up again for some reason. Okay. These are schedules, so they're blank tables. You need to put in project-specific information. If you have an external schedule, for example, a door hardware schedule, because it's a massive schedule, you want to schedule it in Excel, for example, delete the schedule from the work section and cross-refer to your external schedule. It might be Appendix A or an Extra A or whatever, but refer to it. Don't try and duplicate it within the specification. At the end of every work section, there's a list of what we call reference documents, the first part of which will be the standards that we've referenced within the work section. The second part is the standards that we've referenced only in the guidance text. And the third part is BCA citations of those standards, just so that you know those documents that we've referred to and the titles. Because within the NATSPEC specification itself, we only refer to the standard designation and its number. With the office edited work sections, you can upload, if you, as I said earlier, if you do specific kinds of work, like hospital work or work on schools, and you do a lot of pre-editing, you can upload those work sections, or you have your own work sections. You can upload those work sections into the system so that they're available for everybody to use. So I'm just going to create my own office edited work section here. I'll do roofing combined. You need to call it something else. It can't be the same file name as the NATSPEC file, so I'm just going to put my initials in that one. So I know that, okay, if I'm doing my job, I'm going to use the JR file rather than the original NATSPEC document. Another thing that it has to be in a docx format. You can't have it in the plain doc format. It's got to be docx. So if I now log back into this Builder Live, okay, so I've been out for weeks. I'm logging back in. I'm at the Spec Builder Live homepage. There's a hyperlink there that says Upload Office Edited File. Click on that. And it's pretty straightforward. What I have to do is browse to my Office edited file, okay, which is on my desktop. Oh, there we go. Clarence, and there's the JR Office edited work section, so I just pick that. I do need to put the title, and I recommend it be exactly the same as what your file name is. 0421 JR Roofing Combined. I don't need the extension, it's just the title of the work section. I click on Next. So there's two steps. I've uploaded the file, okay, and what I want to do here is I want to type in the classification number. This is so the file will appear in the appropriate location in the tree, in the Create a Project tree. So now I want to type in 0421, okay, and the system finds the work section for me. So I just select that and press enter. I could put a description in here. So if you say you've got 2 or 3 different versions of roofing, one for schools, one for hospitals, one for residential, that sort of thing, you could put a description in here so that people know what to use. And once you're happy with that, you click on Save. That's now the home page. And click on Create a Project. Was that 0421? So 042. I now have that roofing combined work section which I just uploaded. Instead of using the generic roofing, I can now use my own pre-edited work section. Is that straightforward? Yeah. Look, where Office edited work sections are concerned, they're useful, but keep them to a minimum. The more you have, the more you are going to have to manually update them. Okay, so, I also wouldn't put my only version up online. You know, have a backup somewhere. But yeah, the more you have, the more you are going, every time we issue an update, you're going to have to manually update your Office edited work sections. And remember to update them as well and upload them to the system so that everyone's using the most current files. We automatically update the generic NATSPEC for you, but with your own Office edited, that's completely your responsibility. Okay, so that's a NATSPEC work section. If we open up our folder again, this is our project folder. What you would do, you've created your project, you don't need to be in Spec Builder Live anymore. This folder is sitting on your own computer, you're not doing any editing online. And this folder you would go through, open those work sections up, start editing and working on those files, or a number of different people could be working on those files. When we get to the point where, oh, you know, I really need to add some other work sections because I forgot to add these work sections when I was initially creating this project, you can go back to your project. Now I'm going to go to the home, pretending that I've logged in 3 weeks down the track or a month down the track. Okay, so I've logged back in, I'm at the home page. I'm now going to browse projects because I want to find the project that I'm working on at the moment. So if I click on browse projects, okay, this is my project that I'm working on at the moment, 217 Clarence Street. So if I open that up, it takes me back to that page with all those selections that I made. So I want to add some other work sections to my project. So I'm just going to click on the edit button, which is below the contents listing there. So if I click on edit, it will open that up to edit, for me to edit and add. And you can see here, look up NATSPEC work sections or look up users work sections. You can look up generic NATSPEC work sections, or if you've added your own Office edited work sections to the system. So under look up NATSPEC work sections, all you would do is start typing in the NATSPEC classification number. So I'm going to add 034B. So as using my down arrow, click on structural steel, and it adds it to the system. I'm going to add 04. And as I start typing, it drops the list down on the choices that I've got. If I do 03 again, 032, mud brick walling, you'll see it puts it in the appropriate spot for me. So I can go through and add as many different work sections as I want. I've added 3 and it's putting it in classification order. So I'm happy with those choices. I'm just going to click on save, and what that does is it saves those changes that I've made. Okay, so we've added some extra work sections. I'm going to download that project. Now, a word of warning here. When it downloads the project, it's downloading the entire project, not just the 3 work sections that I've added. Okay, so I'm going to download that zip file. Okay, close that. It's downloaded it. So you can see it hasn't overwritten the previous zip file that I downloaded. It's made another one. Okay. Now what you need to do in this particular scenario is open that zip file, but don't unzip it. Okay, you don't need to unzip it. All we want to do is pick out the files that we've added. Okay, I'm sorry, it's a little inelegant, I know. I've got the developers working, trying to find a more elegant solution that will be less dangerous, I suppose. But at this point, the system, we can't interact directly with your computer from an internet browser. There's just too much security involved, and I'm not sure you'd really want us to do that. So at this point, you need to pick out the work sections that you need. So I have added mud brick walling, structural steel and roofing. I also want to take this file here. It's called the name of my project. Okay, so I need to take that file with me as well. I haven't unzipped that document, but I can work in this, unzip this folder, but I can work in that folder like any other folder. So I've selected those files using my control button, which lets me select more than one file. I'm going to copy those now, so Control C copies those files, and now if I go into my working folder, my Clarence project, I can now paste those documents in. It's going to ask me if I want to replace only that Clarence 217 Clarence file, and I do want to replace that document. Okay, so I've added those extra work sections there. You don't necessarily need to go back to Spec Builder Live if you don't want to. You can, if you've downloaded that zip file, you can pick the work sections out from the folder that's sitting on your server if you like. When you come to the point where you've done most of your editing in your work sections, and our recommendation would be that you do the bulk of your editing in the individual work sections. Don't do it in a merged file. Only you'll just save yourself a lot less, save yourself a lot of trouble if you're working in the smaller files. Microsoft Word has never dealt with very large documents well, and it still doesn't. And a specification is a large document. So what we're saying here is just to have less trouble working the individual files for the bulk of your editing. Okay, but when you come to the point where you want to generate a table of contents, maybe do some global changes, and print that document, you can then use this document here. This is created by the system based on the choices that you've made. It's what's called a master document. So if I open up that master document there, you can see it's got hyperlinks to each of our individual Word documents that we've been editing. So I want to create a fully merged document and PDF that or print that and update my table of contents. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is expand those sub-documents or expand those hyperlinks. Now what you need to sort of understand here is that it's not actually placing the text from those files in this document, it's just showing the text. Okay, the reason I need the outline is that on the outlining ribbon are all the master document features and expand sub-documents. What that's going to do is show the contents from all those files that I've spent weeks editing. Okay, so it's going through and doing it. Depending on the number of work sections you'll have will depend on the time it takes. You can see here, it's still in outline view, which is a bit ugly. So I'm just going to close outline view and it puts me back into page layout view, and you can see it's fully merged. Actually, I'll just put a page break there. Okay, I've used the NATSPEC content cover sheet. You could probably put your own, upload your own cover sheet with your logo and that sort of thing up into the system. So instead of using the generic NATSPEC, you can use your own cover sheet. The second page of the NATSPEC cover sheet has this field here, and you can see it says error, no table of contents entries found. And the reason for that is the original file is only 2 pages and there were no table of contents entries in that document, so it's showing an error. But now that I've expanded this document and there are other pages to it, I can now update this field. So if I right click over that field, okay, you'll get a context sensitive menu, and if I click on update field, what that will do is it will go through looking at all the heading ones in my document and update my table of contents. That table of contents is also a hyperlink in itself, so if I press Control and click on the work section title, it'll take me to that section within the document. If you decide to use your own cover sheet, for example, and you haven't got a table of contents, if I just delete that, it's very, very easy to insert your own. Just putting your cursor wherever you want that table of contents to be inserted. Under in 2007 and 10, under references, okay, the very first button there is a table of contents button. If I just click on that and say insert table of contents, the NATSPEC field only has one level in it. It's only showing you the work section title. But if I leave that at 3 levels, what that will do is it will it will add all the subsections and clauses to my table of contents. So you can see it's pages worth of that. I'm not sure why you would want to go to that level, but sometimes you might. Okay, so that's inserting a table of contents. If you've added your own text, like your own clause or something, and it's not appearing in the table of contents, it's because you haven't styled it heading 3 or heading 1 or heading 2. That's how Word generates a table of contents. So it picks up on the style names. Okay, and you can see here the document is fully merged. Every time you close that document, and then open it up again, you will need to expand it again. It will collapse every time you close that document. So if I close that and just save it. Oh, and in the background, every single one of those Word files or trade work sections is open up in the background. Okay, I stuck in a page break on that one. I need to expand it again. So I go to Outline, Show Document, Expand Subdocuments. You can edit in this merged document, okay, because they're linked. Any changes you make in the master document and any changes you make in the subdocuments reflect in both files, because the master document, and it's a Word feature that's been there for many years, the master document has no real text in itself. Okay, it's reading its information from those subdocuments that you've been working on. So any changes that you make at any time will be reflected every time you expand that master document. So if I just show you by, if I go into my prelims, I'll just change that clause to Jocelyn, oops, and save my file. And you'll notice too, we don't need to be online anymore. You only ever log in when you want to create your initial draft or you want to add any other work sections. Okay, so if I made a change to preliminaries, so if I open up prelims and scroll down, you can see here, I made the change in the master document, but it's made the change into my subdocument. So any edits you do will reflect in either. Basically, what it's doing is it's referencing those files that are in that folder. And the only thing you have to make sure of is that your master document file is sitting in the same folder as all your individual subdocuments. Look, if master documents just seems all too hard and I just don't want to do that, what you can do is if you open up the very first document that is going to be part of your specification, so for this one it'll be cover sheet. If I go down to the end of that file and put in a page break, one feature that is new in 2007 and 2010, which makes life quite easy if you want to merge your documents. Not everyone's going to want to have a fully merged document, especially if you're doing trade packaging. It's probably best if you keep them all in the individual work sections rather than merging them all into one, and then you can ignore the master document. You're just working on the individual files. But if you do need to merge it into one and create a cohesive document, then and the master document feature is all just too hard, one thing that you can do in this new version of Word is put your cursor in, and you would save that as, so I'm going to save that file as, and this makes a static file. It's not linked in any way to those subdocuments. So if I just call that, say, Clarence Tender, save. Okay, I've opened up the very first document. I've just gone to the end of that file and put in a page break. I am now going to go to the Insert menu tab, and towards the end of that ribbon, see there's an object button there, can you see that? If I click on the down arrow there and click on Text from File, I need to navigate to my folder, which it already knows it's the Clarence one, and I can select all those files. I'm going to unselect specification cover sheet because that's already in there, because that's the file I opened, and I'm going to unselect my project file because I don't want that in there. I just want the work sections. So I've selected them all. I'm happy, and get rid of the Clarence Tender. Okay, so that's all my work sections. If I click on Insert now, it's going to pop all those work sections, the content of those work sections, into this document here in order. Can you see that it's basically merged them all in about 4 or 5 clicks? Okay, and I can now save that file, and it's a static file. It's not connected to any of those individual sub documents anymore, and so you can say, okay, well this is what I released for tender on the 26th of July 2011. In this particular document here, we've got page 101, and we want the next section to start at page 120. Okay, to do that, we've got our section break. We now go into Insert. Okay, and you'll see here there's a page numbers button. We're not actually inserting a page number. What we want to do is format it. So if we just click on that arrow there and format page numbers, what you can do here, it's automatically going to continue the page numbering from the previous section, or we can start this section wherever we want to. So if I just type in 120, click OK, the previous section is still 101, and this section is now starting at 120. It can be quite useful if you're trying to cobble together a number of different types of documents. Say you've got a PDF from another consultant, or your Excel documents of schedules and that sort of thing. I don't recommend trying to join documents in Word. Okay, don't try and insert a PDF or Excel document. Microsoft says that Office programs work together. They really don't, not well. Okay, so why give yourself that grief? If you do want to create a single electronic file, do it in Acrobat. PDF all the bits and join them up in Acrobat. It's just far easier, and you just don't need that grief. You want to spend your time on the content of the specification. You don't want to be fighting with the programs, with Word and just trying to get it all merged into one. And that seems to be where everyone sort of spends most of their time or gets themselves into trouble, is when they're trying to merge all these different types of documents. So just don't do it. Do it in Acrobat. So using that format page number, you can, okay, well, I want to have 5 pages in the middle of this document free so I can insert my PDF, or I want to keep 30 pages free so I can insert the structural engineers material into my specification. And some people are a bit precious. They won't give it to you in a Word format. They'll only give it to you in PDF. So that way you can at least put them in some sort of cohesive way. Just going back to the guidance text or the hidden text, I was saying before, you want to make sure that it's hidden or not showing when you generate your table of contents. At the end of the job, you also want to get rid of it. It doesn't need to be in your document. You're not deleting the only copy of it. You're just deleting it from your project, your specific project. Also, if you PDF this document, even though the hidden text is hidden, it's actually going to blow out the size of your PDF because it's still there. It's still in the document. So the second button on the NATSPEC toolbar there, that red cross, will get rid of all the hidden text in your document. It will delete it all. If you're doing the same thing and you can't find the toolbar, or it's, as I said, it's all too hard, another quick way of getting rid of that hidden text from your document is the replace button. Okay, so on your home button there's a replace button there. Replace is really quite powerful. I use it a lot, especially when I'm exporting data from the database or trying to tidy up a document that someone sent me. If you go to the replace button, there's a more button in the bottom left hand corner there. Okay, if I click on the more button, what I want to do is I want to find any character. So if I click in the find what and go to special, I want to find any character. But I also want to find any character that's got hidden formatting on it. So if I click on that and go format font and go hidden so that hidden is ticked, what it's going to do now, it's going to find hidden. And I want to replace it with nothing. Okay? And I'll click replace all. If you're not really sure about everything you've put in here, then what you might do is replace one at a time until you're sure that it's doing the right thing, because if you click on replace all, you could lose a lot of text. So I'm going to click on replace all. And you can search for styles. So say someone has styled a document that you want to insert with your own material, but they've used different style names to you, then you can say, look, find everything that's styled clause and reapply heading 3 to it. So it will very quickly reformat documents. Just on that subject as well, traditionally what people have done is they work with consultants, and those consultants give them their specifications, and those specifications have been inserted into the main specification. Okay, so that took a little while because I was on the big document. So what that's done is it's deleted all of that hidden text. So yes, traditionally people get consultant material and insert it into their own specification. Look, that's fine, and that's why you want to know about replacing and tidying up documents. But one thing to just keep in mind is if you insert that under your banner and with your headers and footers, are you taking responsibility for that consultant's material? So just something to keep in mind. There's 2 schools of thought on that, and that's completely your call, but just be aware that if you do take it, insert it into your own spec and put your name on it, you may well be taking responsibility for that specification, unless there's some caveat somewhere where, you know, these sections are the responsibility of this consultant. Okay, so what we've done is we've covered styles and formatting, table of contents, merging or using the master document, and also doing a static merge using the insert object button, inserting a table of contents. Another sort of tip would be, don't bother editing the headers and the footers. Every document, every NATSPEC document has a header and a footer. Don't bother editing each individual header and footer, just edit it in the master document. That way you only have to do it once, right? And everyone thinks too, because the footer has the copyright NATSPEC in the footer, that they have to leave that there. As soon as you start editing this document, it's yours. So you can put in your company name or your project name or whatever you want, the footer. And with these Word documents, they are just Word files. We haven't done anything special to them. We haven't cut off features to them. So you can edit them as much as you want, or cut and paste them, or break them up, or whatever you want to do. They are just Word files. So you can make them look any way you want them to look. One thing that I did want to show you, sometimes Word documents can do strange things. An example of strange things is every time I got to page 30 of a document, it would crash. I just couldn't scroll past that page, for example. Or I have 3 or 4 documents which are only text, there's no pictures in them, but they're 2 or 3 megabytes in size, and they're only 4 or 5 pages in length. Just when Word those files start playing up and doing silly things, and there's often no explanation as to why they're doing that. This little trick works for me probably 99% of the time. It's actually saved me. So say I'm having trouble with that document. I open it, I go File, New, and just open up a blank, brand new, fresh document. I pop back into the document that's giving me a problem. I select all. Select all is Control A, and what that's doing is it's selecting all the text in my file. I'm going to click on Shift and back arrow. And what that does, if I just keep clicking on the back arrow, all that's doing is unselecting that last paragraph marker. So if I select all again, Shift, back arrow, I just don't want that very last, can you see that one there? That very last paragraph marker, that's what I don't want. I can now copy and paste. So copy, Control C, and paste, Control V. I might need to format some stuff, or I might need to add another template to this document, but in 99% of the time the corruption will be gone. Okay, that very last paragraph marker contains all the information for that Word file. So if you were to take that last paragraph marker, you would be taking the corruption with you. That's my little tip. Thank you very much for coming. That's the end of this seminar. I hope you all got something out of it and have been able to take something away with you. But yes, thank you very much for attending.